Hey guys, I'm in the car today. I thought I'd show you my latest setup in the mobile. You already know I have the 102 whip up there. Let me bring you inside and show you what I've done in here. I did some changes in here yesterday. Come on inside and I'll show you. So you may remember at that yard sale that I went to a couple weeks ago, I picked up a realistic TRC 465. I have just always admired these radios. Over the years, this is the fourth one of these that I've had. And after selling each and every one of them, I have just kicked myself in the ass, wishing I hadn't parted with them. But I finally got another one that's in really good shape. It works well, too. So I stuck that in here. I made a sheet metal plate for it. And when I cut out the hole in the center of that sheet metal, I cut it down the middle first and then bent the two halves to the side, drilled holes in it, and mounted the radio right to that piece of sheet metal. So that radio is not going anywhere. It's in there good and sound. I mean, yeah, we see screws on the face, but I like to see hardware. I use a stock mic on it. It's the original mic that comes with that radio. I tried several microphones on it, and I just wasn't happy with the power mic on it. With a power mic, it was way over modulated every time. With every power mic I tried. With a stock mic, it's still the modulation is kind of up there a bit, but the stock mic does work pretty well. I may in time open that radio up and turn the modulation down just a little bit. It's cranked up kind of high right now. So, there's more. I couldn't have just a 12-watt radio in the car. I mean, come on, what fun is that? So if you remember, at that yard sale, I also picked up that. It's a Shooting Star 225 Plus. It's mounted upside down and up on the roof framing. It is at an angle. The back of it, well, actually the front of it, is much higher than the back of it. And it's also right behind the windshield. So what I've been doing is if it gets hot, I'll turn the air conditioner on and put it on defroster. And that way the cold air from the AC blows right up to the box and keeps it cool. It's worked out as a pretty good spot for it. I went out this morning and did a test drive and a range test of this setup. I'll show you that range test shortly. But I was pretty satisfied with it. I get to talk to a few locals. While doing the range test, I talked with 625 Dave. His base station is out of Sumter, South Carolina. He was on his mobile this morning. I also talked with 63 Paul. That conversation was kind of faint because he's really far away. Paul is about 60 miles away from my base stations. And I also talked with 555 Mike. Mike's about 40 miles away from my base stations. It's a pretty good thing in the area that I live in. We can almost always find a local on the radio to talk to. So we did a test, and I went as far as I could, which ended up being right at my destination, right in the middle of downtown Columbia, South Carolina. We had an appointment we had to go to, and I ended the range test with me talking with 555 Mike. I was sitting in the parking lot talking to him. All right, let me just show you real quick the base station antennas that I was using, and then I'll get to that range test. Down here on my garage, I have the Radio Shack antenna that I also picked up at that yard sale. I have this temporarily set up there with some ground plane wires. I'm in the process of building another beam, but for now I'm using this because I needed parts from the other antenna that I had up there. So this is going to be the receiving radio on the receiving antenna on the range test. The base of that antenna is probably about 26 feet off the ground. So I had my camera set up right here in front of my Kenwood, and this is the radio that I used for the range test. All right, let's get to that test now, and I'll show you how well that new car setup did.
CQ, 151, on Route 20, 151, on 20, what are we, westbound? I don't know what it is, 151, standing by
Making a good trip over here, 625 mobile.
Well, good morning, Dave. Where are you at?
Rolling down the street, just left the house.
All I heard was rolling down the street. I didn't get the rest of it. I think I may have lost you, Dave.
Yeah, you know that little hole in my neighborhood when you first enter, I just dropped down in it. Go ahead.
Copy that. It's dropping down in your neighborhood. Going over the Waterloo River right now.
All right, John, you drive safe out there, and we'll catch you later on.
Copy that, Dave. Have yourself a good day.
Yeah, I'm turning on 261 as we speak. 625 South Carolina, standing by.
CQ 151, South Carolina, just passing the rest area on Route 20. 151, standing by. CQ 151 on Route 20, just passing Route 601. 151, South Carolina, standing by.
Still sounding good over here.
My buddy in there, 229, Randy.
Yeah, 151, I still copy over here on 261.
Copy that, then. 625. Wow, numbers are high this morning. Yeah, I'm having a little trouble hearing you, though. I'm pushing out a lot of power now out of this. I put in a 225 in here yesterday.
Yeah, it's doing a real good job for you.
Copy that. Thank you very much. I appreciate that radio check.
You got that thing on a 102-inch whip?
Yes, I do. Right up there, smack dab in the middle of the roof.
Perfect. It'll work good for you there.
I'm hoping so. Today's the first test of it. I have cameras on at home just to see if I can still hear it all the way from Columbia.
Oh, yeah. I'm on 261 over here in the Beach Creek area, if you know where that is.
Now, I'm not familiar with that, but the elevation is going to be up there because you were loud and clear that time.
It's also going to depend on how many trees are in my immediate vicinity.
Yeah, copy that. You got to get around those obstacles. I'm down in the hole. I had trouble hearing you that time. I'm at, what is it, exit 87 now, White Pond Road in Elgin.
Oh, yeah, that's a nice deep hole there. You're going downhill from Lugoff.
CQ 151 on Route 20, approaching Spears Creek Church Road. 151, South Carolina, standing by. 151, up on the hill at exit 82. 151, South Carolina, standing by.
How about 151, you copy?
Wow, I do. How'd you just come in so loud?
Come out of the forest. I'm on 261, just about to the county line.
Copy that. I'm approaching exit 80 on Route 20, and you, for some reason, you just came in nice and loud there. CQ 151, South Carolina, on Route 20, approaching Route 77. 151, South Carolina, coming up to Route 77.
Still coming in good over here on 261 at the county line.
Copy that on 261 at the county line. You see, you came in good that time again, too.
Yep, nothing but cornfield around me right now.
The cornfields is bouncing your signal around for you?
Now the pine trees are killing it.
Yo, radio, 148 around Jamaica, standing by.
Hey, Jamaica, Don't you cover this loud and clear to hear what's going on? You got something new going there? Oh, this way, you sound pretty good there. Oh, therefore, what kind of radio is it?
So I think it did pretty well, considering I was in the middle of a city and I could still hear it from 35 miles away. Granted, it was kind of faint, but I could still hear and make out every word I said from 35 miles away. I think that's pretty good, especially considering the antenna that's on the roof of my garage right now also isn't the greatest antenna. If I had done this before I took down the vertical Yagi, I probably would have been a lot louder, but I didn't have this in the car at that time. So I'm going to enjoy this the way it is and probably do more testing in the future. I have another range test route that I can take that's a lot more level. The terrain doesn't change as much, and it's an easy one to measure the distance. For this test, I had to use Google Earth quite a bit to draw the straight lines from my house to each location that I was at to get those exact miles. That's straight line miles. That's not going by road miles. So 35 miles straight line, I think it did pretty well. All right, guys, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.